guys! Okay, so I said I was going to write a blog post, but I actually decided to do a video, and I'm doing it today because I'm so excited to just talk about everything. Anyways, I'm over the moon excited, and so I will probably just be like, this whole video. Okay, so my and Isaac's story, I would film it with him. He lives in Kentucky, and so sure we'll do a video in the future, so we're gonna just get my perspective on this story, and they're pretty similar perspectives, so let's get right into it. I met Isaac 8 years ago at the Galilean home in Kentucky. I was down there with my church choir, and we went there to do ministry and to serve them and things like that. The home is this place that his grandpa and grandma actually started, and they adopted kids from all over the world and that had like disabilities, or their parents like were alcoholics and they have like alcohol syndrome and all those things. And so basically it's a home where there's kids with special needs and Down syndrome and troubled kids, and there's also adults there that have grown up there. But yeah, so that is where I did ministry 8 years ago, and that is actually where I met Isaac. It's his grandpa that actually runs this place and who founded this place, and so that's how I met him. I was about 12 or 13. I can't remember the exact age I was, but it was around that age. And all I remember is I met him and we hit it off. We took a ride on this John Deere Gator, which is like this green little like motor thing with like a bed in the back, and we just rode around, and that is what I kind of remember about us and the time that I met him. I remember like he was like trying to like show off in the pool and stuff by doing flips, and it was just funny. So yeah, he had me hooked at the age of 12 or 13. I was pretty dead set on him when I met him. But so we dated for 2 weeks, and then we ended up breaking things off because we were so young. We live far away from each other, 2 different places, too young, like of course it's not gonna work out. So we ended up breaking things off, and the past 8 years, maybe about 3 or 4 times we would catch up, have like this little fling, and we never saw each other in person the past 8 years. I think I might have saw him once, but yeah, when I saw him, I just didn't really talk to him because I just felt uncomfortable and awkward because I was like, oh, we dated before or whatever, so I don't really count that time as seeing him. But so we would have like these little flings to where we were interested and we were flirting and whatever, but it never ended up working out because either we were in 2 different places, we were 2 different people, we weren't mature at the time and things like that. So it wasn't until October of last year when Isaac, we call him Ike, but he was going on a mission trip to China, and I was heading off to Australia with YWAM, that we kind of reconnected. I really felt like God wanted me to donate to his trip and buy one of the t-shirts he was selling, and so I did. Didn't think anything of it, didn't think anything would come of it, but he basically messaged me thank you and things like that. And then eventually we started talking about our trips and catching up a little bit, and then we both were like, okay, like this is another fling thing. So then we realized like, hey, like we need to be present where we are. Like, you're going to China, I'm going to Australia. It's just not the right timing, it's not God's timing and things like that. So we didn't actually talk for a while. It wasn't until, I'm not entirely sure how much we talked between October and February, but it wasn't until he came back from China and I was off to Malaysia that we ended up chatting. So I was still in Australia for a little bit, but when I was in Australia, we FaceTimed, and we caught up and we basically talked about missions. Like that's where our relationship started, talking about ministry and missions. And then we ended up chatting, and the first time we FaceTimed was like 2 hours, and the next time was like 4 hours, and then I went off to Malaysia, and then one day we FaceTimed for like 5+ hours. It was insane, and we like were so vulnerable and so open with one another, and it was just like instant connection, and it was so incredible, and God worked in it in so many crazy ways, and we just both had such a peace. Well, I, back last fall, late fall-ish, early winter or something, I actually committed to a year of singleness because I was like, God, I am done with guys. Matter of fact, I'm going to commit to a year of singleness because I'm so done. And I was like, you can take whatever you want. You can do whatever you want with my year of singleness. Like, I'm just giving it to you. And so honestly, I did not expect anything to come about. A lot of people ask me, like, are you going to stay single until December? Like, are you going to make him wait and things like that? At first, I was like, yeah, like, I'll just stick to my commitment. And the more I prayed into it, and the more I sought God on it, God kept reminding me, Ari, I just simply wanted you to surrender it all to me. And he just kept giving me so much peace and so much confirmation about just continuing to just like pursue what we have and just let it flow naturally into what it becomes. And so, yeah, and when I was in Malaysia, Isaac, what I really appreciate about him is that he is so respectful with my time, what my focus is, and making sure that my focus is on God and what he wants from me and his mission. And so we were talking for a little bit at the beginning of my Malaysia trip, and then I was praying, and God was like, basically saying that Isaac would be there when I come back, but I need to like focus mainly on this ministry. And so I was like, okay. And then Isaac had been praying about it, and he got the same thing. And so we both agreed that we would send Marco Polo updates like a couple times a week, maybe once a week, once every other week, to just update each other and how we can pray for each other and just what God's doing in our lives. But other than that, we weren't going to communicate. And so that actually happened. So basically, I was pretty focused and submerged into the Malaysia trip. Yes, he was still in the back of my mind, but my focus shifted from wanting something to my ministry that I was doing in Malaysia. And so with that being said, when I got back from Malaysia, we started chatting when I went to Australia again, and we would FaceTime and text and like call each other and just update each other, and it was good. It was still that connection, there was still a peace there, and we never lost any of that bond or connection that we did have before I left for Malaysia. And so that's pretty much when things started to really flourish. And we were like, okay, like we're gonna do this thing this time around. Like we feel peace about it, and we're gonna meet up. And so we decided to meet up, which was last weekend. And so I came back from my trip, and we were just counting down the days till we would meet up. And honestly, like I was so sure about him, and I still am. I'm so sure. But I'm saying like I was actually like kind of nervous about meeting him in person, because I was like, oh my gosh, like what if we meet in person and it's not the same? It's awkward, like we can't talk on anything, like we don't click or whatever. And I was worried, but then like a part of me like wasn't worried at all. And so it was just kind of like this internal battle of like, ooh, I haven't seen this person in 8 years. And hopefully like this isn't just like a fling and things like that. So there was all these like things in my mind, but at the end of the day, like I had so much peace and comfort and joy, confirmation about this guy. And so I went to go visit him last weekend, and I went down there because I really wanted to see the kids at the home and things like that. And so I actually traveled down there. He's gonna come up in a few weeks, but I wanted to go down there because I wanted to see all the kids, and I wanted to meet his best friends and his family and just everybody that like makes him who he is. And then he's gonna come up and see everyone that made me who I am today. And so yeah, I went down this past weekend, and it was the most incredible weekend ever. Like it was definitely one for the books. We have this running joke now that every time we hang out, we're gonna like post a photo on our stories and be like, May 18th, one for the books or whatever. It's, yeah. Anyways, it's a thing. But, so I went down and at first it was awkward because I met him at his cousin's house and it's also his best friend. And so I get there and we bring our stuff in, and I was staying there. And so I bring all my stuff in and we sit down on these bar stools by his counter, and we were just like sitting there staring at each other and laughing. Like, we didn't know what to do. And him and I are both like, our love language is physical touch and quality time and words of affirmation. So since we were like sitting apart and like distant, like we just like felt awkward. And so it was really funny actually. But then after like we met all these people and then finally just like had time to ourselves to just like simply sit on a couch and just like be real and be comfortable and talk, that is when like broke the ice and we were all good, and it went up from there. Like, yeah, and so it was great, and we had such a fun weekend. We went hiking with Michael and Taylor. We went up to this rock point to where you could see like a lookout of all these beautiful trees and fields. We rode the gator, which I was talking about earlier, that we did 8 years ago. We saw the kiddos. We hung out with his family. We went on a hiking trip thing, and then we drove around in his red truck. There's so many things that we did. Like, there's so many like little moments that I'm going to cherish forever. But yeah, so this weekend on May 18th is when we made it official, and we aren't gonna be saying like, oh, like, I mean, I guess like we can say like boyfriend and girlfriend, but like we are in this because we want to get married in the future. Like, we're not just like in this just to be in this. Like, we are dead serious about this relationship. And so yeah, we're not doing the whole like, oh, Facebook in a relationship thing, because honestly, like, yes, like people are gonna know I'm with him, but at the end of the day, like, our relationship does not need to be defined on Facebook as that. Anyways, so basically we're courting because our intention is to get married in the future. And so basically it's like a courting thing. And so it's just different. It's like our intent to marry. We're not just dating just to date. We're dating because we want to get married. And so that's where we're at. I'm super excited. He's so supportive of like all that I do on Instagram and the dreams that I do have for my Instagram, but we ultimately both have a heart for missions, and so we'll see where God leads from there. That's to be announced and to be continued, but that's just kind of how we came about, our story, and what God did, and I am so freaking excited to see where God leads us, and I am excited to bring you guys along on our journey and to kind of just show you what God is doing. And I am so excited. That's my person. And yes, some people might think we're crazy that we like moved so fast, but it's God, seriously. Like, I've never felt so much peace in my life, and I don't even need to convince you people. Like, I don't need to sit here and just like try to defend us, because God is our defender, and he has literally shown us time and time again how blessed he's been to us and how much confirmation he's shown us. And so yes, that is our story, and we will probably film a video, like a Q&A or something in the future when he comes down and meet the fam or something. I don't know. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know. But that's our story, and I just really wanted to document this because I want to look back at this and be like, oh, you were excited, and just see like how it progresses and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for your support and love, especially on our posts. Like, you guys are so sweet. Anyways, I love you guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday.